Hi, you guys. We are going to start something new here. I was looking at my stash of books, and I have a lot of books here. A lot of children's books that some Evie's old enough for, and a lot of them she's not. But we love books in this house, and I had the thought, well, during this time where we're not really supposed to be getting together and we're not really supposed to be leaving the house, maybe I could share some of the books that we have in a different way with a video. So today I have a special book here. This book is called Don't Sneeze Over Sugar. My brother wrote this book a long time ago, and before that, my dad told this story just years and years ago when I was just a little girl. These pictures I drew, the illustrations I drew. I probably drew these maybe 10 years ago now, maybe 10, 15 years ago. It was a while. Don't Sneeze Over Sugar. A story by Jim Towner, my dad, written by my brother, Dan, and illustrated by me. And this is how it starts. Once upon a time, on a beautiful day, the families of the sheriff, the deputy, the detective, and all the policemen of Cheesecake County assembled together at Sergeant Fred Gillamagush's house. They gathered to celebrate good times and enjoy Eunice Gillamagush's famous, delectable, and mouth-watering banana bread. It is not uncommon for people to wonder what makes Mrs. Gillamagush's banana bread so epic. Is it the creamy nature of the delicately whipped deliciousness? Or is it the characteristic smoothness that draws people in from far and wide? Or could it be that her secret ingredient is the astoundingly bedazzling Cheesecake County sugar? The bestest sugar in all the world. As they waited for the banana bread to finish baking, people chatted about work, their families, and their everyday lives. "I'm so proud of my son, Savvy Tim," said Mrs. Flimpafloppers. "He is only 14 years old, and he's already president of his high school science club. He also just got a job as the inventory tech for the new sugar factory that is about to open tomorrow." Savvy Tim's real name was Saviontimus, but nobody could pronounce that name, so everyone just called him Savvy Tim. "He seems to be quite motivated," said Eunice Gillamagush. "Is there anything he's not good at?" "Unfortunately, yes," sighed Mrs. Flimpafloppers. "He hates writing so much that I wouldn't put it past him to try to convince your daughter, Esther Linnea, to write something down for him just so that he wouldn't have to." "That's ridiculous," laughed Eunice. "Why, she's only 6 years old and barely knows her ABCs. "I know how to write," yelled Esther Linnea from the other room. "Tomorrow morning, Savvy Tim is taking me to his science lab. We will put on goggles and breathing masks while I will write down his experiment of melting shortflakes into the shape of banana bread." "Oh, yes, the banana bread," remembered Mrs. Gillamagush, "and I think it's about time to pull it out of the oven." And everyone started dancing around as Eunice pulled out the long-awaited banana bread from her brick oven, and they all prepared to simultaneously take the ceremonial first bite. Unfortunately, all this excitement was short-lived. Their delighted smiles soon turned to uncontrollable sneezing as soon as they bit into the infamous treat. What the pepper had just happened? Oh no. Pepper? Yes, someone had mixed pepper into the sugar. Why would anyone do something so villainous? Just then the phone rang. It was Sheriff Frizuzu from the neighboring county of Gingersnap. "Be on your guard," he warned, "because we just received complaints from the owners of the sugar factories here in Gingersnap County that someone has been mixing pepper in our sugar containers. Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops is on the loose, and as you know, he is the ultimate sugar destructor. We're concerned if we don't catch him quick, he'll sneak into everywhere he can, where sugar is stored. Be on your lookout, because Cheesecake County may be next." Immediately, Detective Flimpaflopper started making phone calls to every sugar factory in Cheesecake County, only to find out that Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops had already peppered each one. "Wait a minute," yelled Fred Gillamagush. "Are you sure you checked all of them? What about the sugar factory down the street that is going to open up for the first time tomorrow?" "I forgot to call them," admitted Detective Flimpafloppers. "I bet that's where Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops will strike next," exclaimed Fred. "We better set up a perimeter all around the plant," began Deputy Plumperson, "making sure our police presence is known so that Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops won't dare to get close to our sugar. We should keep lights flashing all night. Sirens shall be kept on. We'll carry bullhorns and—" But Fred interrupted him. "With all due respect," explained Sergeant Gillamagush, "I think it might be better if we don't let him know we are there so that we can catch him by surprise." Everyone saw the wisdom in Fred's plan, and that night every single law enforcement officer from Cheesecake County snuck into the sugar factory and hid wherever they could. They were all excited to catch Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops and save the county's famously delectable sugar. If you look at the pictures, you can see everyone sneaking in. But no one guessed that Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops would wait until the break of dawn, just to make sure everyone had gone to bed. One by one, the policemen began to fall asleep in their hiding places. Fred was getting nervous. Who would be there to back him up? Even Fred was fighting to stay awake. "Oh no, they're falling asleep." When things seemed that they couldn't get any worse, Detective Plumperson started snoring loudly. Oh no, now Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops would be sure to hear him and run off before they had a chance to catch him. In desperation, Fred shook Deputy Plumperson to get him to stop snoring, but that only seemed to work for about 10 minutes at a time. As the sun started coming up in a moment of silence, the back door creaked open. Slowly and villainously, in sauntered Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops. He closed the door behind him. He suspiciously looked to the left, then to the right, and then up, and then down. But he didn't see any of the policemen because they were so well hidden. Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops proceeded toward the large sugar tank with his backpack full of pepper. Do-do-do-do. As he approached, Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops began humming a tune with a villainous grin. Before Fred could figure out what to make of it, Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops stopped humming and broke out into a full-fledged song. "I shall be the only one to enjoy the sugar. Swish it around and gobble it down. Swallow it like a burger. Nobody else can enjoy it now. I'm sneaky like a leopard. Swish it around and gobble it down. I'll spoil the rest with pepper. Ah, ha, 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 ha." Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops reached into the sugar tank and grabbed as much sugar as he could fit into his cupped hands. He opened his mouth wide and stuffed it all in, all the while grinning villainously. But what Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops didn't realize was that Savvy Tim had accidentally switched the orders that Esther Linnae had filled out for the factory sugar and the high school's lab's powdered soap. Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops swished the soap around in his mouth. One of his eyebrows rose higher than the other as he began to realize that something wasn't quite right. He swished it around in his mouth once more just to make sure that he was really tasting what he thought it was. Just then, Deputy Plumperson let out another snore that was so loud that it woke up all the policemen. It startled Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops so much that not only did he spit out all that powdered soap, which he probably would have done anyway, but he opened up his backpack. Pepper went airborne and everyone in the building went into uncontrollable sneezing fits. The policemen couldn't catch Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops because they were all sneezing, and Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops couldn't escape because he was sneezing too. My goodness. Just then the door opened. In trudged Savvy Tim and Esther Linnae. They were both wearing goggles and breathing masks because they were on their way to the science lab. They diverted their course in order to investigate the loud snoring they heard across the lane. Neither Savvy Tim nor Esther Linnae got caught in the sneezing because they were wearing the protective gear intended for the soap melting experiment at the high school science lab. Esther Linnae made herself busy removing handcuffs from the different policemen's belt and handing them to her cousin, Savvy Tim. By the time the sneezing stopped and Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops got back to his senses, he was already well shackled. Horace Hare-Hare-Hoops was caught, and Cheesecake County's sugar was saved. Later on that afternoon, everyone gathered again at the Gillamagush's house, where Eunice made a whole new batch of banana bread. But this time, she made it with the sugar that accidentally got shipped to Savvy Tim's high school science lab. There was no pepper in that. People's smiles grew bigger after they all simultaneously retook the ceremonious first bite. And they all lived unpepperly ever after. The end. And that was Don't Sneeze Over Sugar. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.